Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Lillis. Today we're going to be learning, actually reviewing, comparing fractions. So this is something that we talked about earlier in the year. Knowing how to find common denominators is important for this lesson. So you can always go back and look at some videos if you forget how to do that. But let's do some examples together, and then you can do some work on the slides on your own. So we want to think about 1/4, 5/8, and 1/2, and we want to put them in order from least to greatest. Over here is where you would put the smaller fraction, and then this is where you'd put the larger fraction. These are less than symbols. So when I see these, I'm noticing right away they all have different denominators, but we can make them have the same denominator. So think about, the 1/2s are equivalent to what fractions? And I'm thinking probably if you choose 8, that's a great denominator for these 3 sets of fractions. So we can change 1/2 into eighths, and that's 4/8. So we have 4/8 and 5/8. And then we can change 1/4 into eighths also by setting up the fractions next to each other. 1/4 equals blank over 8. So you think, how do I get from 4 to 8? Multiply by 2. Whatever you do with the denominator, you have to do with the numerator. So if 4 times 2 is 8, we do 1 times 2 is 2. So the fraction, this would be equivalent to 2/8. So we have 2/8, 5/8, and this one was 4/8. So I would drag and make this one the smallest one, 2/8. And then the 5/8, this is the 4/8. And then the 5/8. Okay? Let's try another one of these. We're going to go down to this one. So we have 3/4, 7/12, and 5/12. So think about, we already have 2 that are 12ths. We can change this one into 12ths. So you'd set it up, if you're doing on a piece of paper, 3/4 equals blank over 12. And you think, how do I get from 4 to 12? I multiply times 3. So whatever you do on the bottom, you do on the top with the numerators. 3 times 3 is 9. So that means this would be 9/12, 7/12, and 5/12. And now it's really nice. You can just order it. Just look at the numerators. Remember this was 9. So we have 5, 7, and then 9. Okay, so it's so much easier when you have the same denominator. Now down here, sometimes you might see when you compare fractions, they put it on a number line. So that's also another visual way to help you understand it. And you can see the markers we have 0, half, and a whole. So think about what would be close to 1/2, a little less than a half, a little more than a half, and close to 1 whole. And sometimes you don't even need to change the denominators. You can just think about, if you were visualizing it, like even shading in a circle, for example. If I had a pizza and there were 12 slices and 11 of the slices were shaded in the picture, that's almost the whole pizza, right? So that 11/12 is close to 1 whole. I'd say much closer than these. All right, so then you'd click, this one is 11 over 12. Now you think the other 2 are closer to 1/2, but one's larger than a half, one is smaller than a half. So think about it. If you know 4/8 is a half, like we did in the problem above, then 5/8 is just a little bit larger than a half. So this one would be the 5/8, 5 over 8. And then 3/10. Think if you had a pizza and there are 10 slices and 3 of them were shaded in the picture, that's not very much. So that's going to be less than a half. Half would be 5/10. So this is smaller than a half. So this would be the 3/10. Okay, so these are great ways to practice with number on a number line, or the comparing the comparing with the less than and greater than. So give the next couple slides a try and work hard and ask your teachers if you have any questions. Good luck.